Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I'm going to be making a cheesecake, and I'm not going to be heating up the kitchen today. This is going to be a no-bake cheesecake. So I've got my food processor out. I'm going to be using that to grind up my graham crackers. If you don't have a food processor, you can definitely use a Ziploc bag. You can put your graham crackers in that and then take a rolling pin out and then roll across the top of them and grind them up that way. And I want 2 cups of my graham crackers. All right, I'm going to put a few in and just give it a couple pulses to break that up. And I'm going to continue to add those until I get all of them broke down. Now that I've got those broken up, I'm going to measure 2 cups and I'll let you know how many grams I've got of those once I get those measured out. All right, I did measure that out. I've got 2 cups and that was about 2 sleeves of my graham crackers, and that's 215 grams. And with that, I'm going to sweeten these up just a little bit. I've got a 1/4 cup of sugar and I'm going to add that in. And I like mine with just a little bit more cinnamon in it. This is a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you want to add more, you can definitely do that. It's completely up to you. All right, I've got my sugar and my cinnamon mixed together. Now, you can definitely use any kind of cracker or cookie that you like. I like the graham crackers in mine, so I've got that mixed together now. Now I've got 1 stick of melted butter or 8 tablespoons. That little paper on the top just helps that keep that microwave clean, because if you go in there and melt this down, sometimes it will pop on you. So definitely, this has saved me from cleaning up my microwave a lot. So definitely use this little trick. Put that on the top of your butter when you melt it down. This is 1 stick or 8 tablespoons, and I'm going to add that in. Now I'm just going to combine that all together, and we just want that to come together to just a mixture of, like, a rough wet sand is what we want that to be. All right, I've got that mixed together now, and I'm going to take my clean hand here, and you can tell it's done when you can compress it like that and it sticks together. So I've got my pan here. This is a 9-inch spring pan form. And I've got a piece of parchment paper that I've cut in the bottom of it, and that just makes it just a little bit easier to slide off the bottom of this. This is pretty good as far as being non-stick on the sides and the bottom, but I think that just makes it just a little bit easier to get off the bottom. So I've got just a little bit of butter here that I've got warmed up to room temperature, and I'm going to take that and I'm just going to put just a little bit of dab of this on the bottom of the pan, and that'll just kind of hold that paper in place until I can get that graham cracker mixture inside the pan. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my graham cracker mixture to my springform pan now. And I've got a measuring cup here. This is just going to help me get this down in here really easily. And I'm just going to use that to kind of press this around on the bottom. We really want to get this as tight as you can, because if you don't, it could collapse on you when you take the sides off of it or the bottom off of it. So definitely we want to get this packed in here as tight as we can get it. All right, I've got my graham crackers now in the bottom of my pan. I'm going to go put this in the freezer, and I'll come back and we'll start on the ingredients for our filling. I've got my graham cracker crust in the freezer, and we want that to set back up again, because remember, we melted the butter and we want that to really stick to the walls and the bottom of that. So we put it in the freezer, and then we get ready for everything else, and then we'll put it in there and it'll be ready to go. So now with my next ingredients here, I've got 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, and I've got my stand mixer here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into my bowl, and we're going to blend that together. One thing to remember when you're working with your cream cheese with this, you want your cream cheese to be at room temperature. You want this to come out for at least 2 or 3 hours before you start on this, because you want this to be soft. You do not want to try to process this with it hard right out of the refrigerator, because you don't want that lumps and anything in there like that. So let this come to room temperature. If you need to put this in the microwave, make sure you take the foil off the outside of it, put it in a pan, and just, like on 50% power, you can do 10 or 15 seconds until you get it down soft enough where it can go. But definitely, you want your cream cheese at room temperature. Do not bring it out of the refrigerator cold and put it in here. It will not work. Now that I've got my 4 blocks of my cream cheese in them, I'll go ahead and add my other ingredients. I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. I like using the powdered sugar over the granulated sugar. It just seems like it blends in there easier. And with everything that we're going to be blending in today at room temperature, it works really well with that. I've got 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. I've got 1 tablespoon of vanilla and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And now I'm going to put this on medium for about 2 or 3 minutes until this gets blended smoothly together. About halfway through, we're going to lower this down and we're going to scrape the sides down so we get that all mixed in there together. All right, I've got my cream cheese and other ingredients mixed together now. I wanted to show you what that looked like. You want that smooth. You don't want any lumps in there. And I'm going to transfer this to this other bowl so you can see what I'm doing. You don't have to. You can actually just use this bowl and mix it together when you're making yours, but it's just a little bit easier. I'll put it in this bigger bowl here so we can see down in it what's going to happen next. I've got my cream cheese with the other ingredients in this bowl up here, and I've got another bowl that I've got here, And I've got a half a cup of whipping cream in it. I'm going to take a mixer. You can definitely use this by hand if you want to whip it up by hand. There's not a lot in here, so I'm going to use this mixer, and we're going to get this whipped up until we get stiff peaks on this. All right, that's been about a minute. Let's look and see what we've got here now. You can see we've got a nice conformity to it, and we've got some peaks here in the bottom of our whipping cream. So this is where you want this to go. You don't want to go too far because it will break, and then you'll continue on and you'll have butter. So definitely don't want that. So this is what we've got here. And we're going to put that now into our mixture. Now with this, you want to be really gentle with it. We're going to take this and we're going to scrape this right into this bowl. Then I'm going to take the spatula and I'm just going to go in and fold it in with the other ingredients. You just want to get it combined together. I've got my ingredients folded together now. You don't want to whip that. You just want to fold it in there like I was doing earlier. And I went and got my graham cracker crust out of the freezer, and that has set up nicely with that. So now let's get ready to put our filling inside of our graham cracker crust. All right, we've got our filling now and our crust, and I'm going to go ahead and gently push this around to the sides to get this filled in all the way around. You don't want any air bubbles in the bottom. We want those gone. Now I've got an offset spatula here. If you don't have one of these, you don't have to have it. You can just use your spatula there that you've got to continue working that around. But I'm just going to kind of smooth this out on the top, just a little bit, going around the top and smoothing that top out. I have my cheesecake set now. I've got the filling inside of the graham cracker crust, and we're ready to put this in the refrigerator. So you can put some cling film over the top of it, or if you've seen in my other videos, I've got these little bonnets that I put on my breads and things. I'm going to put that over the top of it. And with this, you want this in the refrigerator for a minimum of at least 6 hours. Even overnight would be better. I'm going to put mine in the refrigerator overnight. I want this to set up, and like I said earlier, I'm going to let mine sit in the refrigerator overnight. So if you want to make this a day ahead of time, if you know you've got an event coming up, that will be even better for that. All right, so now that we've got our cheesecake in the refrigerator and it is setting up, I'm going to show you now how to make a great topping for that cheesecake. This is a cherry pie filling, and this takes 4 cups of cherries, and I've already got these pitted. And I've used my cherry pitter here. If you've never seen one of these work before, I'll put the link in the description box below with a video of that. And I'll also put the link where you can get one of these if you'd like to get one. Or you can use a metal straw if you don't want to spin it. If you've got a straw, you can push those through, or you can cut them open and push them out that way. But I've got 4 cups of my cherries here. I've got those washed. I've got my pot here, and let's go ahead and get those put in now. All right, now that we've got our cherries in, I've got a half a cup of water here, and I'm going to be making a slurry here with some cornstarch, and I'm going to put that into this bigger bowl, and I've got 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to give that a mix through just to make that slurry a little bit easier for this to incorporate into it. So I've got a spatula here, and I'm just going to kind of give this a stir around until we get this mixed together. All right, we've got our slurry mixed together now. Let's just go ahead and add that into our cherries. I've got 1/2 cup of sugar, and we'll add that in right there. I've got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I did squeeze out some lemons for that, and we'll add that in. And I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and we'll add that in. I've got another spatula here, and we're just going to take that and we're going to just give that a good stir around until that gets all mixed together. We're going to keep stirring this on occasion until we get this up to a simmer, or right where it's getting ready to start a rolling boil. All right, my mixture now has come up to a boil. We want to make sure we keep stirring this. You don't want to go off and leave this. You don't want it sticking in the bottom or that sugar burning on the bottom on you there. So now I've got this turned down to a medium low. We're going to cook this for about 10 minutes until this gets thickened up, and it'll cook down just a little bit. And I'll come back and show you what it looks like in just a minute. I am back, and I've got my cherry pie filling made. I've got the heat turned off of this, and I wanted to show you what this looks like. This looks really nice. You can see how that thickened up really nicely. So once, like I say, once it comes up to a simmer, almost to a boil, turn it down on low and just cook it for about 10 minutes. And it'll cook down just a little bit, and it'll thicken up also on that. So at this point, I want to add in a little bit of lemon zest, and I've got an organic lemon here and a zester. And with this, you just want to get the outside of the peel off of that. You don't want to get down into the white part of it. And we'll just add that in. This is optional. I just think it brings out a little bit of those extra notes of that cherries and that. So definitely, if you've got a lemon, go ahead and zest it. And you've got the lemon juice from when you put that in there earlier. So make sure you zest the lemon first before you squeeze it. And that way you'll get the lemon zest off of it. So we've got that done there. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And I've also got 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm going to go ahead and add that in right there and just give that a little mix through. All right, now that I've got that mixed, I'm going to go ahead and remove this and put this over to the side. And I've got a bowl here, and I want this to stop cooking and I want it to cool down. So I'm going to remove it out of this pan and put it into this extra bowl that I've got here. Now that we've got our cherry pie filling out of the pot now and into this bowl, we want this to cool down now. We don't want to put that onto our dessert right now, because all that'll do is make a mess with it. It will just dissolve it, because that's the purpose of why we're trying to cool the cake down. We don't want to put anything hot on it. So let this come down to room temperature. If you need to wait about 15 or 30 minutes, you can, to let that cool down, and you've got a nice topping for that cheesecake or for whatever else you'd like to use it for. All right, I'll come back and we'll show you when we get ready to cut our cheesecake what this looks like. We are ready now to take our cheesecake out of our springform pan, and one of the tricks that you need to do if you've had it in the refrigerator like I've had mine overnight is you want to take a towel and you want to put some water on it, and you want this as hot as you can stand it to hold it on here. Don't burn yourself now, but just enough hot on there to put this on the outside. And what that's going to do, because we didn't put any wax paper or anything here on the side, we just put the parchment paper on the bottom, this will heat up that outside just a little bit, and it will help release that butter that might have stuck to the outside of that springform pan. So if you've never tried to release anything out of a springform pan before, try this little hack. Get you a towel, put you some hot water on it, as hot as you can stand to hold it, and put it on the outside of it. Just warm it up just a little bit, and when you get ready to release that, that'll release that off the sides. It's not going to melt anything else on the outside of it. It's just going to help release that graham cracker crust that we got on the outside. All right, now that we've warmed the outside of our springform pan up, I'm going to go ahead and release this on the outside here, and hopefully that will be enough of that to let that release, and it looked like it has. And we want to lift up on this very carefully. All right, I've got a nice layer of my graham cracker crust on the outside of my cheesecake. It looks really good. I still have the bottom of my springform pan on the bottom of that there. You can do one of two things. I've got one of these flat tools here that you can push into the side of it and get into that paper and pull it off. Or like today, I'm going to show you this way. If you cut into it and then you can expose the paper to it, and then you can pull everything off once you get, that's probably the easiest way to do that. But you can definitely leave the bottom of the springform pan on there, or you can use one of these tools and just go under the side of it, and then that will pull that right off also. Now, one of the ways that we can decorate our cheesecake up is, you remember I made that cherry pie filling. You can put that on the top of it and set that over the top and glaze the whole top of it. That'll be really good on that. But if a lot of people don't like that, you definitely don't want to do that. You can take some strawberries and just put those on the top, or you can take some cherries. If you've got some cherries, you can put some of those on the center of that. That would be really pretty also. So I'm going to put mine on mine individually, or you could actually go around and put a strawberry on every slice, or you could put a cherry on every slice when you get ready to cut them in. Now that I've got this on my serving dish here, let's give this a taste test and see what this tastes like. Definitely wanted to make sure I get some of that graham cracker crust on the bottom of that. That's going to be absolutely delicious. Let's try it. There is nothing like cheesecake. And if you don't have to go through all the trouble of baking one with the water bath and everything you have to do is one, try this recipe for this no-bake cheesecake. I know you're going to love it as much as I do. If you like this content, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And while you're at it, check out one of the other two videos over here on the side. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment in the comment section how your cheesecake turned out. I definitely want to hear from you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.